Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. I would like to continue my video presentation with the second task, which is regarding about crime against humanity. I would like to introduce my name. My name is Hizra Nabihah binti Azhar, and my metric number is 059205. This is my second task to create a video what I understand about crime against humanity. So I will begin with the introduction. For introduction, the crimes of against humanity stated that it is not clear in which context the term crimes against humanity was first developed. Some scholars point to the use of this term or very similar terms as early as late 18th and early 19th century, particularly in the context of slavery and the slave trade, and to describe atrocities associated with European colonialism in Africa and elsewhere, such as, for example, the atrocities committed by Leopold II of Belgium in the Congo Free State. Other scholars point to the declaration issued in 1915 by the Allied governments, which are France, Great Britain, and Russia, condemning the mass killing of Armenians in the Ottoman Empire, to be origin of the use of the term as the label for a category of international crimes. Since then, the notion of crimes against humanity has evolved under international customary law and through the jurisdiction of international courts such as the International Criminal Court. It is also stated that International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia and the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. There are three jurisdictions which is prescribed about crimes against humanity, which are International Criminal Court, International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia, and lastly the International Criminal Tribunal for Rwanda. Many states have also criminalized crimes against humanity in their domestic law. Others have yet to do so. Crimes against humanity have not yet been codified in a dedicated treaty of international law, unlike other crimes like genocide and war crimes, although there are efforts to do so. Despite this, the prohibition of crimes against humanity, similar to the prohibition of genocide, has been considered a peremptory norm of international law from which no derogation is permitted and which is applicable to all states. The 1999 Rome Statute establishing the International Criminal Court Rome Statute is the document that reflects the latest consensus among the international community on this matter. It is also the treaty that offers the most extensive list of specific acts that may constitute the crime. Now, I would like to explain a crime against humanity refer to specific crimes committed in the context of a large-scale attack targeting civilians regardless of their nationality. These crimes include murder, torture, sexual violence, enslavement, persecution, enforced disappearance, and etc. Crimes against humanity have often been committed as part of state policies, but they can also be perpetrated by non-state armed groups or paramilitary forces. Unlike war crimes, crime against humanity can also be committed in peacetime, and contrary to genocide, they are not necessarily committed against a specific national, ethnic, racial, or religious group. Crimes against humanity appeared for the first time in a treaty in the 1945 Nuremberg Charter at the end of the Second World War, with a different definition than today. Since the 1990s, crimes against humanity have been codified in different international treaties, such as the Statute of the International Criminal Tribunal for the former Yugoslavia in 1993, the Statute of the International Tribunal for Rwanda in 1994, and the Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court in 1998. The Rome Statute provides the most recent and most expansive list of specific criminal acts that may constitute crimes against humanity. Unlike other human rights violations, war crimes do not engage state responsibility, sorry, but individual criminal responsibility. This means that individuals can be tried and found personally responsible for these crimes. Crimes against humanity are acts of murder, rape, torture, appetite, deportations, persecution, and other offenses committed as part of a widespread or systematic attack against a civilian population based on government or organizational policy. These crimes can be committed at any time, not only in situations of internal or international armed conflict. The proposed treaty would require all states parties to include the definition of these acts in their national laws and to take steps to prevent and punish them in national courts. So what I understand is that it is first time appeared of in a treaty in the 1945 Nuremberg Charter at the end of Second World War. And war crimes is not engaged, is not regards with state responsibility, but individual criminal responsibility. The the crime is not about the states, but about the individual itself. That's what I understand. So the crimes, the prohibited acts, or the crimes that we usually hear of crime against humanity is firstly murder, second extermination, third enslavement, fourth deportation or forcible transfer of population, fifth imprisonment, sixth torture, sexual violence, persecution against an identifiable group, and forced disappearance of persons, the crime of apartheid. Other inhuman acts of a similar character, intentionally causing great suffering or serious injury to body or to mental or physical health, which is these crimes or acts or prohibited act is stated under Rome Statute of the International Criminal Court under Article 7. So the crimes listed is all about the crimes against humanity, and and it is stated under Article 7 of Rome Statute. Alright, so for the Next is we can see that unlike for the crimes of genocide, torture, apartheid, and forced disappearances, there is no international treaty specifically devoted to crimes against humanity. We can say that no international treaty devoted to crimes against humanity. The Rome Statute of the Permanent International Criminal Court was a leap forward in defining crimes against humanity and should be universally ratified by all governments. Human Rights Watch said, and yet the lack of a comprehensive international treaty on these offences constitutes a major gap in international law, according to Human Rights Watch. Crime against humanity have proliferated in every region of the globe. A future treaty will contribute to strengthening the legal tools available to countries and facilitate more trials of these crimes in national courts, hoping that in the future there will be more treaty that is strictly stated about the crimes in national courts, especially regarding about the crimes against humanity. So, lastly, for the conclusion, I can simplify that in contrast with genocide, crimes against humanity do not need to target a specific group. Instead, the victim of the attack can be any civilian population, regardless of its affiliation or identity. Another important distinction is that in the case of crimes against humanity, it is not necessary to prove that there is an overall specific intent. It suffices for there to be a simple intent to commit any of the acts listed, with the exception of the act of persecution, which require additional I'm sorry. It suffices for there to be a simple intent to commit any of the acts listed that which is listed in Rome Statute Article 7. For example, murder, extermination, enslavement, with the exception of the act of persecution, which require additional discriminatory intent. The perpetrator must also act with knowledge of the attack against the civilian population that his or her action is part of that attack. So I hope that my explanation is I'm using a simple word, so I hope that everyone can understand when I explaining about the crime against humanity. So that's all from me. Thank you.